everyone for tuning in today and joining Edwin Eisendrath and I as we talk every Tuesday morning about what is going on in the world. I am Susan Demas, the executive editor here at Lincoln Square. Edwin is the former Sun-Times editor in Chicago. CEO of the Chicago Sun-Times. He also hosts The Big Picture on Heartland Signal. You don't have to be in Chicago to listen. You can listen online. And we have a lot to jump into today. Let's just start with where we're at with Donald Trump. His poll numbers continue to fall. The economy is falling apart. Mark Zandi, who is a well-respected economist, said the red lights are flashing. We have every indication that there is a recession at hand, especially given the revised job numbers that came out that Trump threw a conniption fit about on Friday and decided to fire the person who put them together, the BLS commissioner, whose numbers were fine by him a couple months ago, by the way. He is repositioning nuclear subs against Russia. The right-wing media is going crazy about, dumb distraction stories like about Sydney Sweeney's jeans ad. And Trump does not want to talk about Epstein, as he has not for the last month. So that's kind of where we're at. Edwin, what is your take on the moment that we're in?
I want everybody who's listening to just um, reset because we are so used to people like you and me on the left and other people on the right having these conversations and arguing with each other. And that is a normal part of American politics. There is nothing normal about the time we're in. This is not a left right fight. This is an existential fight against a threat to our democracy, a substantial threat to our democracy. And so we cannot think of this as normal arguing. Presidents have seen the economy go down before. This one's incompetent. He was given the most robust economy in the world, and it took him less than 6 months to break it. Totally agree. But it's in a context, right? He's
Mm.
unpopular. He's wrecking the economy. So what's he going to do about it? Is he going to try and get popular? No. He's going to say his numbers are popular, as he's like, because he lies about everything. Right? He's going to now lie about the economic numbers. That's why he fired somebody. This is what fascists do. And they make sure our elections don't count, which is what he's trying to do with his friend Governor Abbott in Texas. They so hate American voters that they'll gerrymander that state so that the preferences voters have will have no impact on the outcome. None. That is not a democracy. I lived in monarchies. I lived in Saudi Arabia and in that part of the world for a long time and worked there. People live lovely lives. They go to the movies. They have kids. They're told you could talk about anything you want as long as it's not politics and the royal family and religion and history, right? But that's not never been us. It's becoming us. You want to talk about history? I'm sorry, not at Columbia University. This president has put a monitor at Columbia University to decide what they can teach. You
Right.
want to read the honest news? I'm sorry. This president has put a monitor at CBS to talk about what they can print as journalists. This is not who we are. It is not what you can't survive this and be a democracy. We have to get rid of these people, and it's not a normal time. They
No,
have
it's
we have
it's
to
not.
protect our elections. I mean, and just to be clear, peacefully get rid of them, but we have to protect our elections. And what's he doing while he's distracting us? He's building a secret police force that this budget funded. You think that what we've seen with ICE is bad so far? They got $165 billion now. They'll be
Right.
all over our streets, intimidating people. So this is a really dangerous moment, and I think people are rising to the occasion, but it's frightening, and we're seeing institutions fall. I mean, when CBS fell and agreed to a monitor, Columbia agreed to a monitor, Corporation for Public Broadcasting said we're done. I felt like it was 1940 and France had fallen.
Right.
That's
I mean,
where
that is one of the things that autocrats count on is the weakness of institutions and the weakness of their opposition being divided, being scared, obeying in advance, like we saw with the Smithsonian by taking Trump out of the impeachment exhibit, the only president who's been impeached twice by the way. Um, and, I don't see Trump as being invincible. I mean, he's not when you see his numbers falling. Yet institutions, like Columbia, like CBS, are acting as though he is. And that's just helping him consolidate power.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Smithsonian, I think, will rectify this problem, but it's worth saying John Roberts is the chancellor of the Smithsonian, you know? I mean, right?
That's a fair point.
Uh, Lonnie Bunch, good guy, runs it. Chancellor has never been a friend to democracy on that Supreme Court. Um, I think we win too, but we have to be vigilant. We have to be tough, and these times are going to be very rough. I mean, their old tricks don't work anymore, and that Sydney Sweeney stuff is an example. Boy, they tried to change the subject. I mean, they really tried to change the subject, and Democrats didn't take the bait. You
Yeah.
know? I mean, I know they're saying Democrats took the bait and they're saying, "Oh, Democrats are crazy about," but Democrats don't haven't mentioned it. But
No,
this is like Christmas. They said Democrats wanted to get rid of Christmas.
the
Lie,
war on Christmas.
right? Never happened. There was no
No,
war on Christmas. And now they're saying to their, white men base, these guys in their basements who they think are the core of them, like, "Oh, the Democrats want you to stop seeing ads with attractive women in cars." That's really what this is.
right,
That's where their head is, right? But and maybe that explains why they won't tell us the truth about Epstein.
right.
This is where they are and what they're trying to hide.
Yeah.
This right? But we're not taking their bait anymore.
Yeah, and if you haven't read Edwin's column, it's right here in Lincoln Square. It's also on his Substack. It's The Democracy is Stupid, and it's guess who's really obsessed with the Sydney Sweeney ad. And just to back up a little bit, this is like I think day 7 or 8 on Fox News on this story. You'd think there's nothing else going on because on Fox News they're not reporting on the Epstein story. They're not reporting on the fact that Ghislaine Maxwell was moved to a minimum security prison on Friday in Texas, which is widely assumed to be the move before she is let out with a pardon so that she can exonerate Donald Trump, and that's his attempt to move on, while of course spitting in the face of all of her many victims. But on Fox News, you would think that the biggest story in the world is, an actress doing a jeans commercial for American Eagle, which, let's face it, clearly the messaging,
Fox is Fox.
yeah,
If they have a chance to show a young woman leaning against a car
right,
and say something bad about Democrats, they'll do it all day long.
right.
They're not serious. They're
No.
propaganda.
And nobody cares.
No,
It's an ad with, a sexy actress, which, this is nothing new. You can see them all over the place, and nobody is in a tizzy about this, but them because they want to make her some sort of symbol of the right. She's a Republican voter. She's blonde. She has blue eyes. This is everything that the liberals hate and want to take away from us. Meanwhile, most of us are worried about the fact, how are we going to pay our mortgages next month because of Trump's tariffs and this awful budget bill that is going to result in most of us paying more in taxes unless we're Elon Musk.
right? I mean, they're going after. I mean, look, the economy is truly frightening what they've done in a short time, and um, uh, they're boasting that they've started to get a lot of tariff revenue, and they have. Right? But every penny of tariff revenue is just a tax on ordinary working Americans. So
Right. They're bragging
all
about
paying
taxing
more.
us.
We are all paying more in tariff taxes so that they can, again, I keep going back to Jeff Bezos just got a break that meant that fancy wedding in Venice is something that we are paying for. Are you
Yeah.
kidding me? And then there's the $1 billion of our taxpayer money that's fixing Donald Trump's plane for him after he leaves. These guys are thoroughly
Hunter.
corrupt and taking us for a ride.
Yeah.
And Americans, I just don't think. I mean, if you look at what's happening when Republicans show up at town hall meetings, as somebody did, recently in Tennessee and got roasted. I mean,
Oh, Representative Flood. Yeah.
yeah, roasted by his constituents. I I don't think there's I mean, they can't win, so they can cheat, right? And Donald Trump is a cheater. Absolutely. Americans can't let him. We just can't let him cheat on the votes. We have to stand firm, and we have to bolster these institutions while we can.
Mhm.
I mean, everybody I know is writing their colleges saying, "Don't fold, don't fold." And hello, everybody out there who needs a lawyer, go to Jenner for God's sake. Get great counsel from a firm that didn't cave.
Right.
Find one that didn't cave, but stay away from Paul Weiss. They don't deserve your money.
Right. Absolutely. And, on the issue of
Wait,
tariffs.
sorry,
Oh, go ahead. Oh,
but yeah,
yeah. On the issue of tariffs, for you and I being in the Midwest, I feel like there is um a missing story for a lot of folks, and that's what's happening with Canada. I mean, there are a lot of Canadians that come to America and they travel here, they have second houses here. They're not coming anymore. They're not coming across the border. Um, Traffic, between the US and Canada is down the other way as well.
yeah.
This is our largest trading partner. Now, I'm in Michigan, and so this is of, special importance to me because our economy is so tied to Canada. But I mean, for the entire, Midwest, for the Great Lakes region, we really function as a region, to some degree. And I'm now getting ads on my Instagram. Come to Canada, the water's fine. You should move up here. This is not a coincidence.
No, it is absolutely not. The economy, people don't know this, but the auto industry is entirely a US Canada partnership.
Yes.
All those suppliers in Ontario that feed into Detroit, this is long-standing, very good for both countries. And the ignorant fools in Washington are going to make it harder for everybody and cost these companies profits and raise prices on all of us. It's just,
Right.
and then same thing what we're doing with Mexico is despicable. These are our big
Absolutely.
partners and our neighbors. Doesn't help anybody. Um, and they lie about it. Oh, speaking of lies, we haven't talked about this. Cash Patel. Cash Patel, serial liar, head of the FBI, owner of an enemies list who claims he doesn't have one, but is working his way through it.
Right.
Now, those of you who are listening, you have to cast your mind back a little bit to President Trump's first term, where he said, I never got any help from Russia. Never mind at the Senate. Marco Rubio said that he did, that, right?
Who's now a
But
Secretary of State.
so they hired a guy, John Durham, a very good prosecutor, to prosecute the beginning of the Russia investigation. And he did, and he spent a lot of money. He spent weeks, and he got zero indictments. Zero. It was a grand jury, and they said, you don't have any evidence. So but he filed a report, and that report included an annex that in that annex was Russian propaganda. And he said,
Right.
these things are Russian propaganda. So this last week, Kash Patel declassifies that annex and starts to talk about the Russian propaganda without calling it Russian propaganda. And right wing media, when they aren't busy with Sydney Sweeney, are talking about Russia, are just gleefully uh, spreading Russian lies again in the country.
Right.
So, I mean, you cannot trust these people with anything, let alone a democracy.
And, another part of this distraction against the Epstein scandal is, again, trying to whip up fear against Obama, who is Trump's ultimate nemesis. And he was part of this huge conspiracy to go after Trump on in 2016, an election that Trump won. And he's part of the effort to tie him falsely to Russia and his ties there, even though they're well established. And
Laugh a little bit because
yeah.
Americans have a very short memory. I mean,
Hmm.
we fight over history, but we don't remember anything.
Right.
Like young people don't remember Barack Obama. They were too young. I mean, turns out it was going on 12 years ago.
Right.
Right? I mean, that's an eternity. So when if Barack wants to I mean, Barack, if Donald Trump wants to fight about Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama,
Right.
the country is gonna say, wait a minute, but I'm paying more. You know,
Yeah.
like, you talking about? What does this have to
Yeah.
do with me anymore?
But it clearly is an obsession. I mean, from the CGI video of arresting, Barack Obama in the Oval Office that Trump was, throwing out there a couple weeks ago,
Just
all of the memes.
racist crap is what that is.
It is. It's complete racism, and even Trump's $200 million ballroom that he is obsessed with building, that started with the fact that he told Obama that he should build it, and so now he's like, "Fine, I'll do it better than him," which, of course, we as taxpayers, we really don't need to foot the bill for a $200 million luxury ballroom,
Well, Putin has one in the Kremlin. I mean,
which is his model.
his model. Yes, absolutely his model. And by the way, on those submarines, the U.S.
Yes.
submarines patrol the whole world. And I assume he was talking about ones with nuclear weapons because every submarine is nuclear powered in our arsenal. I
Mhm.
assume when he points out that they're nuclear submarines, he's not meaning regular, he's meaning they have nuclear weapons. And those nuclear weapons have a range of about 4,000 miles. They can strike anywhere. So he told us nothing new. They're always moving around out there. But why is the president of the United States talking about where our nuclear subs are or
Yeah,
that they're doing? It is so reckless, so irresponsible. And it reminded me of his first term when he threatened nuclear war on North Korea.
right.
Right? And he threatened nuclear war on North Korea. And he went to the UN. He said, I'm going to destroy North Korea. There'll be fire, there'll be fury. And then, he met the guy in the Olympics,
And was charmed.
and they exchanged what Trump calls love letters. And the trouble that Trump was in that summer went away. And Kim got his nuclear weapon and he got intercontinental missiles. So you got him. So Trump did nothing with all
No,
those. It was all distraction, and this time, once again, we're not taking the bait. He's pretending our nuclear arsenal are his toys that he can dangle, and it's this serious stuff, world-ending stuff that he is, like, playing around with to protect himself, and it's not working for him.
right.
Now
Because at the end of the day, Trump was elected by enough people who felt the direction of the country was not going the right way. They weren't happy with the economy, and he said he would fix it. And 6 months later, the economy is in far worse shape than it was when Joe Biden was in office. And you cannot distract from that.
no, and but some of the country I mean, this Epstein thing is I'd like to think it's about the victims, these poor young women, but I don't think it's about the victims for most Americans because we have never had sympathy for those victims. I do think it's about the idea that there's a two-tiered system, that rich
Yes.
people are getting away with all kinds of stuff and ordinary Americans are getting screwed. And I'm sorry, that is exactly what's on display with the Trump administration. And that's why the
Absolutely.
Epstein scandal is so painful for him because he's trapped. He cannot, he just is the paradigm of what Americans didn't want and why they focused on that scandal. I wish they focused on it because they were worried about those victims. I
Right.
think focused on it because why are rich people getting away with this? And when we can't, our lives are tough. And, I mean, Donald Trump and his family just raking in the cash while everybody else is paying more in taxes is, I think, for most Americans, disgusting.
Yes. And we do have a two-tiered system of justice. There's no doubt about it. And people have every right to be offended by that. But, the idea that Donald Trump, a man who's been convicted of crimes, is going to be the person to bring justice, it always was a flawed premise. But the idea that he could let a, a, a an unrepentant, lying sex trafficker like Ghislaine Maxwell out of prison to save his own ass. I mean, that really puts it into clear focus that he is not about, taking on this corrupt system. He is the corrupt system.
Do you think he's gonna pardon her? I think the blowback would be so enormous. He wants the thing to go away. He wants to say there never really was a scandal. Oh, I'm sorry, there never really was. I don't think even Donald Trump can pull that off. And he's already it's just horrible that he's, made her life a whole lot easier. But if he pardons her after the horrible things that she did to these young women, Um, and I know that they've been attacking women and women's legal rights, women's social status, left and right since they've been in office. But I don't think he gets away with pardoning her. I just even he gets. I just don't think he's going to do it. I think they're desperate to find a way out.
Yeah.
Uh,
It would be an extremely desperate move. I don't think it gets him out of the jam, but the play seems to be for her to exonerate him and say, "Hey, it was all these Democrats."
well, it doesn't matter if she gets a pardon and says that. No one's going to believe it. I mean,
I
particularly
don't think so.
conspiracy minded people, they're going to go, "Oh, wait, I can connect those dots."
Right. Right. Well, I think we should talk about what's going on in Texas, which you talked about at the beginning
Mhm.
of our conversation, because one of the things that I'm sure you hear all the time, and I hear all the time, is what are Democrats doing to stand up? And this is not the first time that Texas has pulled this. We've seen this show before, and we should also say that Texas is already very badly gerrymandered. It's a completely Republican state. They control the process. They just are under direct orders from Donald Trump to give them 5 more Republican seats because he's very afraid that he's going to lose the midterms. But rather than just put up with this, Texas Democrats have come to your neck of the woods in Illinois because they're not going to go along with it.
So, um, Democrats have found their spine and are fighting back in lots of ways. Remember, in Congress, they chased them out of Washington because they weren't going to let them off the hook on Epstein. And Mike Johnson raised the what white flag and said, "I'm sorry, we're taking 6 weeks paid vacation because we don't know how to deal with these Democrats. They're too tough for us." So,
Right.
okay, so he ran tail between his legs. And even old Chuck Schumer found a way to say, You want, some confirmations, then you have to spend the money that we have appropriated to be spent." And they're crying about that. So Democrats
Mhm.
are starting to fight back in Congress where they really have not had any practice with this. This is a new muscle they're trying to figure out, right? But in the rest of the
Yeah.
country, we're tougher than that when we know how to fight. And so the Texas Republicans have said, "Yeah, no, we're not going to give you a quorum to cheat voters. We're not going to give you a quorum to make democracy irrelevant, to make it so that when voters vote, it has no impact on the outcome. To hell with that." And they scampered out of the state, and a lot of them are here. And I should add, Greg Abbott sent those caravans here last year thinking
Of
that was a bad
migrants.
thing. You know what? We took care of them, and now we're happy to take care of their legislators too. Fine, we're happy to do it.
Look,
Um,
Chicago is a wonderful place to be in the summer.
Oh, the best. The best. And I just parenthetically, my son just finished his 12th year going to Lollapalooza, loved it, said the music
Nice.
was great, and he was seeing somebody, some young, wonderful performer who I don't know, and he sent me a video because in the middle of that performance, she said, "Oh, I have some friends here," and out came, um, uh, oh my god, this is a terrible thing, um, a band that I've known my whole life whose name's out of my head. Go figure. All right. Uh, Earth, Wind& and Fire. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So he had a
I
great
love Lollapalooza.
yeah, yeah, fabulous summer. Anyway, so the Texans are here. They're enjoying themselves, but they're here for a serious purpose. They
Right.
are telling everybody this man is trying to cheat. He's trying to steal elections. He's trying to make it so voters don't matter. And Democrats have stood firm against gerrymandering. And yet we have now said, you know what? If we have to, we're going to do it. We're going
Mhm.
and I think we should. And we've been resistant. So when we do it, they've already done it. When we start doing it, we'll take more seats than they can. Illinois has some more, California has some more, New York has some more. So Texas started this war. And, as Lincoln said, one side started the war, the other side let it, accepted it. They start this war, we accept. They brought all this dark money into politics. Okay, we'll raise the money. I mean, it's terrible. We'd rather
Yeah.
it not be there. We've got bills that won't allow it. Same with gerrymandering. It shouldn't happen. It's terrible for the democracy, but we can't let them unilaterally destroy everything. So we're
Right.
going to take this power, beat them, and then we'll make this stuff illegal,
Right.
right? But as long
Right.
as
I mean, when
we're
they
gonna
are breaking the rules, you know, and one side decides to just keep playing by those rules, that's how you get ruled. And that's what they're counting on. And so, you know, having the backbone of, you know, JB Pritzker to take people in and say, I will pay your fines, you know, for not showing up. Gavin Newsom has found his spine, you know, after kind of struggling a little bit, you know, at the beginning of Trump's second term. He's saying, "How'd you like a 52-0 map, you know,
Yep,
here in California?" That's the kind of moxie that we need.
we absolutely and you know what? I mean, uh, yes. I mean, there are more things we can do, and more things we should have done in the past. I was thinking about talking about those, but they're irrelevant. Now we need to look forward, and we need to fight them full on because they have gone for the core of our democracy. They want not to matter. I need what does he say? 20,000 votes. I need you to find me 11,200,
Right,
whatever.
in Georgia.
Right?
Right,
And, by the way, he's now gonna be saying, "I need you to say the economy generated 11,000 more jobs," same thing,
right.
and people will do it. So we have a propaganda government like in a like in that we can't trust. It's gonna mean people won't invest in America. It's all awful.
Yeah,
It's
and
all
the dollar is weaker than it ever has been. I mean, that has not only are we paying more in taxes, we're paying more in tariffs, but it's worth less than it has been before.
yeah, more costly for us for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, yep, yep.
And
And
this damage is going to be something that those of us who care about democracy, we are going this will have to be our life's work to put things together and to build a stronger system. But, you know, that is our great project. That is what we owe the next generation.
well, but before we can do that, we have to build the great coalition that cares.
Yes.
Right? We have to and we are doing that. They are gonna do everything they can to try and get Democrats to denounce each other, right?
Yes.
Try and get us to say, "I'm not that kind of Democrat," or "I don't approve of that."
Yeah.
And some Democrats fall for it and try and make hay for themselves by stepping on others who's because they wanna say, "I'm not that far left," or "I'm not that far right."
Right.
Truth is, we are all in this together, and we
Yeah.
have to stay that way, and most of us are. We are
Right.
going out, we're standing shoulder to shoulder with people who, you know what, on a lot of issues we don't agree with, and it doesn't matter because we agree on the great issue that we should be allowed to say what we think and disagree.
Right.
These
And
guys
that's
are
what
banning books. So this is who they are.
absolutely. And that's what I see, you know, I feel like the mainstream media, the right wing media, they try and emphasize these divisions like in the New York mayoral race. I mean, the one thing that everyone could agree on there is they did not want Andrew Cuomo to be mayor. And you know, yeah, there's some folks that are not as far left as Zoran Mamdani, but for the most part, he's gotten the institutional support. The fact is that like, you know, like almost everyone else who was running in that primary, he believes in democracy. He might have different ideas in terms of, you know, his economic agenda, but he's not the enemy here. You know,
Marco Rubio
let's not get
said
distracted.
deport him. Marco Rubio said he would deport him, right?
Right. I mean, that's how extreme the other side is.
That is how fascist the other side is, right? They send these armed thugs out, they pick people up when they're going to court, they smash windows of cars and pull people out of cars, and we don't know who they are, they don't have a badge, they're all masked, and they say, "I'm gonna deport a candidate for mayor because I don't like him or because he's a Muslim." Are you kidding me?
Yeah. And to me, I will say this, that is so completely un-American, and you cannot pervert what it means to be an American. We are a country of immigrants. We are a country of pluralism, and the fact that Trump and his regime wants to make us an autocracy where only they get to decide who's an American, what being an American is not what we voted for. And that is why it's important for all of us to stand up and build that coalition you were talking about.
Yeah. Well, the federal government has become an autocratic tool. I mean, let's be, let's not pretend it's normal times. That
No.
they invent facts. They fire the people who tell the truth. They hire people who will lie for them. They, are in a propaganda government lying about everything from the economy to poll numbers. They are arresting people without warrants. That this is and they are not executing the laws. They are impounding money or spending money where they want. They're engaged in selective prosecutions of their political enemies. This is where we are. And it's a serious time. And Americans, God love us, we have a sense of humor about it. We are tough. We are standing together, and we're not going to let them get away with it. But this, we have to wait. I mean, we're not also arming for a revolution to throw them out with guns. We're going to throw them out with votes. But that means we have to live with this horror show for a little while longer.
Absolutely. If you have not read Edwin's piece on Sydney Sweeney, you should. It's a great way to start your day, or a nice little break on your lunch hour. And Edwin, can you tell everyone the best way that they can find you on social media, on Substack, your radio show?
Um, I'm on Blue Sky, very easy to find me there. Eisendrath, Blue Sky, easy. It's the Democracy Stupid on Substack, and I have a radio show, The Big Picture. You can find it. Yeah, the podcasts of old episodes are all available on Spotify, or you can just search it and listen to it live Saturdays from 1 to 4 Central Time.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for joining us, everyone. And we will see you again for our chat next week.
Thank you, Susan.